Hi, my name is Madi Doerre. I'm a junior here at Clear Falls, and I am currently enrolled in the Independent Study Mentorship program. My teacher is Miss Robin Hulk, and my mentor is Kevin Duke. I chose to work with Kevin Duke because I was really interested in sports development and sports management, and since he was the general manager of the fitness center, I figured I'd have a lot of opportunities by working with him and what the fitness center has to offer. Sports development is a growing business model that is used in the development of sports talent. And so through the fitness center, when they have fitness, tennis, swimming, I felt I had a lot of opportunities, like I said. So that is why I chose that. And then about me, I'm a junior at Clear Falls, and I've been playing competitive sports since I was in 2nd grade. During my 6th grade year, I started playing tennis and fell in love with it. And my freshman year, I quit cheer to continue playing tennis. My interest is to work with athletes who want to improve in their sport. And so that is why I chose to do a mentorship on sports development. About my mentor, Kevin Duke is the general manager of South Shore Fitness Center and a tennis pro. He has a bachelor's in finance from the University of Houston and an extensive background in accounting and marketing and management. He has 20 years of experience in coaching and teaching tennis. He is, like I said, the general manager. The joy of Kevin's job is working with junior players to ensure their success, working with the community. He enjoys any activity that has to do with his family and delights in helping his son with his education and enrichment activities through his endeavors. He is a fan of anything tennis, skiing, golf, and being around the water. And he loves his wife's passion for Texas football. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the fitness center. The fitness center opened June 13th, 1988, and is located on the beautiful South Shore Harbor Marina. It is known to many Clear Lake area residences as an upscale fitness facility and training center. It is a multi-recreational facility that offers weight training, aerobics, Pilates, yoga, tennis, swimming, a spa, a bistro, and many other activities. A brief history of fitness. It started as hunting and gathering, which was when people in really old times would go and hunt for their food and gather vegetables and things to eat. And then physical education, which is a class in school that makes sure every kid has at least 1 year of physical fitness, started in Europe in the 1800s and gradually became known around the world as something that needs to happen when you are in school. And then President John F. Kennedy pushed for American fitness by describing America as soft, which basically persuaded everyone that physical fitness is a necessity and you need to have it. And Dr. Ken H. Cooper shifted away from disease treatment to disease prevention through physical fitness, which was basically saying that by treating diseases instead of teaching people how to prevent them, it basically didn't help them as much. So if you push that you need to be physically fit, it'll keep you from getting diseases and you can prevent them from coming instead of having to treat them. Kevin and I went over some goals and we set them at the very beginning of the semester of what we were going to do this semester and how we were going to achieve them. And the first one was understanding budgeting and finances. And we sat down for about an hour and just looked over the budget and how much the fitness center spends and how much it makes and how hard it actually is to make money. And then another one of my goals was to learn how to effectively advertise, which was through mail outs, emailing people, calling people, just trying to get people interested. And then learn how networking is effective when advertising, which is also talking to people and getting the word out about what you're trying to make happen and things like that. And then my fourth goal was to successfully run the Lunar Rendezvous tennis tournament, which happened the last weekend in April, and it lasted Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we'll go start with the first goal, which is budgeting. The basic definition of budgeting is to allow or provide a particular amount of money in a budget for a particular purpose. So basically you're setting aside a block of money to be that you're allowed to spend. So you're trying to keep this money and you can't go over this amount that you're allowed to spend. And steps to effective budgeting that I researched in one of my research summaries that we were provided to do, where the first step would be to determine your overall income. And if you don't know what your income is, you can forecast it and basically take a guess at what you think your income would be. And then identify how you're spending money, how much you're going to spend, what you're going to spend it on. And then third, you can compare your regular expenses with the amount of money you have. So basically, if you're going to spend this amount of money, and you need to make sure you have the money to spend. And then set a budget and financial goals so you're allowed to spend this much money and you don't want to go over it, and you need to make sure your finances cooperate with that. And then make a list of what's absolutely essential to pay for. So make a list of things that you have to have, like your bills, you need to pay for those, water, food, things that you just need to live, and then like your extras, add them on the list last if you have money left. And then last, you can begin budgeting out the rest of your discretionary spending. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is fundraising. The basic definition of fundraising is a significant way that nonprofit organizations make money for operations. And my second research summary was on fundraising, and basically I looked up a list and it told me effective ways to fundraise, just like I did with budgeting. But it went a lot more in detail, so it talked about how you can do 501c, or you can do just like little lemonade stands, for example, and things like that. And so the basic 5 effective ways to fundraise it gave me were to know your product. So know what you're trying to sell, and then know your market. Who are you trying to sell it to? What are you trying to make happen? Or who are you trying to bring into your event? Know your audience, which is also kind of like your market, but the people you're getting. And then know your numbers. How much money are you trying to make, or how much are you trying to spend to make this amount of money? And then know how to pitch. Know how to get the word out and bring people into your event and make it happen. And then advertising. The basic definition of advertising is the activity of producing advertisements for products or services. So basically advertising is what you see on the streets, on billboards, how they're trying to get the word out for their product, and that's a big thing when you're running like a fundraiser, is you need to know how to advertise and get the word out, whether you're sending emails or calling people. And effective ways to advertise, which is obviously what I did my third research summary on, was plan your advertising campaign. It needs to be organized and effective, so you need to make sure that you're effectively getting things out and that you're organized and know who you've already contacted and know what you've already done. And then second, you can use internet advertising, and you can do that through email. You can make a website. You could even use social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and just let people know what's going on with your event. And then third, you can use traditional advertising, which is mailing letters to people. You can put an ad in the newspaper that people get on their front door. And so that's how you can effectively advertise. And then last, I'm going to actually talk about Lunar Rendezvous. Kevin and I chose to run this tournament for my final product for this semester because we felt it'd be a very good learning experience for me, and it actually took a lot more work than I ever expected in my life to have to do. And it was probably one of the greatest experiences I've had. For some of the time I was just like, I really just want this to be over already. But it was actually really fun. I'm looking forward to hopefully doing it again next year. And I was really glad we chose to do that. And so I just want to talk about the festival first. The Lunar Rendezvous Festival is a 501c nonprofit organization that preserves both the historical lore and many great accomplishments in the space sciences made by residents of the Clear Lake and Bay Area. The festival raises money by hosting festivals that are exciting and fun for all ages. And some of the events the festival holds is the antique show. They also have a run and walk sponsored by the aerospace companies. They have a fashion show with professional models. They have a golf tournament. They have a tennis tournament, which is the one I ran. They have a casino night. They have a lighted boat parade. They have a family fun fair. They have a wine train. They have an art show, and they have a sunrise service. And at the very end, there's a ball for the court that everyone has to do. And I'm actually lucky enough to be part of the festival as well as running the tournament. So that was nice. And then it took so much to put this tournament together that there were weeks where Kevin would be like, hey, did you do this? I'm like, oh, I forgot. Like, let me go run and pick it up. One of the first things we did was pick out trophies. And we went to this trophy shop, and I don't know if he had any idea what we were looking for, but I really had no idea what we were looking for. So we were like going through books, and I'd pick out something I'd like, and he'd be like, well, I don't care, you're the one picking it out. And then I'd be like, and so I'd have to think about like, would adults want this? Would a kid want this? Would other people want to have this if they want it? Like, would they actually want to win this? So I started out picking like a person that played tennis, like it's like a normal trophy you would see. And we ended up with a plaque kind of, it was a plaque, right? Okay, and then it had a little plate at the bottom that said like the division they were in and like what place they won. And another thing that took a lot of work was making sure we had all of the food and drinks. I think Kevin and Mr. Barlow talked about it for months. Yes. And it ended up being so much more food than I could imagine, and it actually all got eaten. And it just, I'm sure it took a lot of work to make the day before, and it took a lot of work to like, we had to serve it to everyone, and it's not like we just let them grab it. We sat there and served potato salad and barbecue and cobbler and drinks, and so that was really nice. And then another thing that took work was sponsors. We had to call sponsors. We asked people if they were interested in sponsoring, if they wanted to donate money. And a lot of time people would, like, if I asked people, they'd be like, I'd love to donate money if you asked me a month ago. And so it was hard to like find sponsors that were willing to donate big chunks of money, where if you just ask someone like, hey, would you like to donate $30? That's how much the entry costs. That was a little easier, but they don't get like the banners or recognition on the back of a t-shirt or anything like that. So we had to call ahead and make sure they wanted to sponsor. We had to call past sponsors to see if they wanted to still sponsor. And then another thing that we had to do was entries, which is what is in front of you. We actually had, that was the entry from previous years, and we actually had the Lunar Rendezvous Festival make a new entry, which I wasn't able to get a copy of because I asked for it a little too late. But it was a lot I don't want to say it was nicer looking, it was more organized, and it had like the actual Lunar Rendezvous symbol and like everything that the tournament was about. And we were also able this year to get the entry on the website, and they were able to pay on the website, and then we just got a copy of their entry saying that they're playing and they've paid. And then once they were entered, we had to make sure we had all of the money and all of them, like a list of people who didn't have money, a list of people who didn't put a shirt size, a list of who knows what, and just, it took a few hours to like organize it and get it all written down and make sure each player had a partner, and if they didn't have a partner, could we find them one, and things like that. And then creating the draws took a lot of work because I'd write it down and Kevin would find some problem with it that we had to fix, and I'd be OCD and have to like rewrite it. So once we finally got all of that done and all of the placement made, and a lady, I'm not sure what her name was, made this chart right here, which was kind of like times of matches, and we would just fill it out as we found out who won and who was playing at what time and when the next match they were going to play is, and we'd have to make sure we had their score, and if we didn't have their score, make sure we got it. And it was just hectic at times, and there'd be times where no one would come to the desk, and then all of a sudden we have 20 people up there and they want to get on a court, or there's those people that didn't want to play anywhere but indoors, so they'd wait around, and then we'd have to try to like make the tournament run faster, but we'd be running late because they only wanted to play indoors. And another thing was volunteers. We needed volunteers to get in pictures, to serve food, to just help out and make sure the tournament works and that everything goes as planned and nothing dramatic happens that keeps it from going on. And then facilities. We needed to make sure, well, actually the week before we were resurfacing the courts. So we needed to make sure they got done and that the lines were straight and that everything was made, like, done by the time the tournament got out there, and we had banners hung up on the courts where it needed to be, and that the indoor lights would actually work or come on in the morning, and that they wouldn't turn off, or one of the employees wouldn't go down there and turn them off and we'd have to wait 15 minutes for them to come back on. And so we needed to make sure the fitness center was in order, that everything was organized and it didn't look disgusting for people that aren't even members to come in and look at. And we also spent a lot of time cleaning afterwards, like vacuuming the floors, just picking up people's gross messes. Like, I never realized how gross people were until after that. And then one of the best things about the tournament was that it was actually run successfully, and that it didn't rain, and we got through the whole weekend without anything dramatic happening, and that we got off the court before 11 o'clock every night. And so that was really nice. And then the last thing I have to show are the tournament pictures. This is me and Mr. Joe Barlow, who's a lawyer in the Clear Lake area. And he is the one who made all the food and everything. And then this is me and Mr. Bouchard. He's our assistant principal here, but he also played in the mixed 4.5 and 1. So that was cool. And this is him and his partner and some of the Lunar Rendezvous volunteers with them after they won. And then this is just the same picture, just a little different. This was when I got tired of taking pictures after a million of them, so I just threw up the peace sign. And then this was serving food. Well, we were actually getting ready to serve food, and we couldn't find spoons. So we were like looking everywhere, and there was some guy that worked in a bistro, and we're like, hey, can you get us a spoon? He's like, I don't know if we have spoons in a bistro. And I was like, don't you work in there? So we had to find those. And then I'll just let these pictures play. And then that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
You remember how much we made?
Like, wasn't it like 5,000?
What was the hardest thing for you?
The hardest thing?
Most difficult task?
I didn't like going to find people. Like, I didn't like talking to people I had no idea who they were and like yelling for them. Like, not that it was hard, I just didn't like doing it. I didn't think any of it was super hard, it was just very like time consuming. Like, when we were sending out the mail outs, that was terrible, actually. That was probably the worst part, was when I had to like fill 400 envelopes and you didn't tell me that there was a thing, and I was licking the envelopes, and then you told me bugs were on the thing, and then it was terrible.
Would I do that?
Did you think of any ideas that you could have used besides looking for people that you didn't know that would solve that in the future for someone that was doing the same thing?
Well, it's kind of hard because like the tournament is supposed to be like fun more than it is like competitive. So you can't like, you don't want to go out and yell at people and like they do at USTA tournaments. So you just kind of like find them, learn their name by the end of the weekend.
Okay, now I have $1 million question for you. This is a tough one.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any ideas on how to make it better?
I just think we could still advertise better.
Okay.
And you kind of talked about, you talked about the internet advertising. How many of those forms that you said that there are available did you try, and how effective were they?
We used the Lunar Rendezvous website, and then we sent emails, but we didn't really use like social media or anything. Kevin and I kind of talked about that for next year, for the 50th anniversary. because we're gonna try to bring back all the past champions and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So we're gonna try to do that next year and just better advertising for a big one.
How successful was the internet entries versus the manual ones? Did you
I
talk
still-
about
They were even, but I still feel like there were more.
on the internet stuff?
No, on the
Manual?
Yeah, just because that's how it was before. But
You know, people, it was launched, it was a good thing, she worked hard on all of it, so
yeah,
it's good. Okay.
all right. Yes.
Do you need more volunteers in specific areas?
No. Most of the time they were just sitting there like, what do we do? Alright,
Well, you did a great job,
thanks.
it's awesome.
Is that presentation, or all the presentations, I don't know, I didn't put my contact in, that difficult to see from this room?
I don't know.
Like,
Like,
if
I
you
feel
went-
like something's wrong with like the cords or something, because
It's
when
all
we got
blurry.
in
You can't
here,
read them.
it wouldn't even project, and we had to like push all these little things together, so I just feel like something's wrong with the cords.
Okay.
Yeah, you can stop.
We're
it.
done.
Yeah, because you